All right, let's get to some high school sports knowledge, and that's our man, Mike McGarry, who, by the way, retweeted out just this morning a great tweet. Happy birthday, Chris Ford, right, McGarry? He's 71 years young. I'm sure he's thrilled that I'm saying his age on the radio, but we all have Wikipedia. And the answer to that great trivia question, too, right, Mike?
Yeah, who's the guy to make the first three-pointer in NBA history? It's Chris Ford, Holy Spirit graduate. I believe it was 1967. Off the top of my head, I'm going to say 1,507 career points, and let's remember that's without a three-point line. Final Four with Villanova, Boston Celtics, NBA coach. Just a great life, a great basketball life for Chris Ford. So happy birthday to him, and of course his son, Chris Ford Jr., the Atlantic City High School athletic director, and you still see Chris at games and around. So again, I'm sure you join me. Happy birthday to Chris Ford there.
Yeah, the NJSIAA originally tweeted that out. You retweeted it, class of 68. You were close for not having the script in front of you. See, I cheat. I get the computer in front of me. You just do this off the top of your head. But I wrote on top of your tweet, McGarry, love, love, love this tweet. One of my great pleasures of working and living down here is when I get to run into Chris Ford, the dad, as I have him listed in my phone. Such a good man. Plus, anyone who wouldn't tolerate AI's behavior is good with me.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he was coach of the Sixers there, coach of the Celtics, played with Larry Bird, in the 80s, coached Larry Bird with the Boston Celtics. Just a tremendous, you think about the basketball experiences he's had. He checks every box along the way, and kind of, today, obviously, we all talk about Mike Trout and what he's done, coming from the area. He was kind of, it's Chris Ford and Mike Trout, probably the two best athletes to ever come out of the Cape Atlantic League.
Am I wrong, too? Did his daughter coach as well? Didn't she coach at Oakcrest at one point in time, like way back in the beginning? Was she a coach as well?
Yeah, when a couple of years ago, I don't know, I'm not even going to hazard a guess to put a year on that, but there was a time when she was the coach at Oakcrest, and Chris, the son, was the girls' coach at Atlantic City, and I think they faced off a couple times. I remember doing stories, that they were both coaching and things like that. So, the family's still around, still involved in local basketball, and like I said, you still see Chris, my dad, at games, and of course Chris, the son, doesn't coach anymore, but he's the Atlantic City High School athletic director.
Yeah, he's intense too. Don't cross Chris the son. I mean, Chris the son's normally really, really nice, but boy, if you tick him off, I've seen that side of him too, which just makes me smile because I like intensity, I like passion, and I like people that stand up for what they believe in. All right, let's talk a little high school basketball, McGarry. First of all, if Mike Franco was a third party on this call, he'd say, well, once again, the holidays came and went, no sign of the PT, like Boardwalk Basketball Classic. I used to try to take the entire 2 weeks off at TV 40, and he'd get mad because he'd have to go down and cover it, They had, they had? Shootout at the Shore, right? I saw Kylie Watson. I mean, I'm all over the map here because I didn't really write it all down, but there's a lot that I missed, right?
Right. Well, absolutely. I thought you were like Johnny Carson with the guest host the last couple of weeks, Pete. I was here and you were off on the West Coast there. But you're right. It's amazing. We talked in the football season about how the high school football season goes fast. Well, we're almost a third of the way into the high school basketball season, and I think you're starting to see some storylines emerge here. Obviously, Wildwood Catholic boys. Their storyline, 7-2. Jaleel White gets his 1,000th career point last night. So Wildwood Catholic, couple of disappointing losses to Powers Archbishop Wood of Pennsylvania and Elizabeth of, State Group 4 Power out of North Jersey. But Wildwood Catholic so far doing kind of what we thought they would be able to do. And, on the girls' side, you mentioned Kylie Watson. She became the leading girls' scorer in Mainland history. She's closing in on being the leading scorer in school history. And Mainland, with a couple of big wins this week, they got off to a 3-3 start, kind of adjusting to the loss of Cameron Dirks, who has missed the season. Cameron Dirks, that great sophomore point guard, out with a foot injury. So, those are just a couple of the storylines early in the season.
All right, well, let's pick up on the Wildwood Catholic boys first and foremost. How good are they? When's that marquee matchup? Is that this weekend? When's that big game they have coming up?
Well, they have a big game just about every weekend. That's the thing. They play on Saturdays. They have these showcase events. The big one that you're probably talking about is at the Metro Classic, which is taking place this weekend and a weekend in February. So Wildwood Catholic will play at the one in February against the Patrick School. Today at the Metro Classic, I'll be down in Toms River watching Mainland Regional play Toms River North. Toms River North, a Group 4 contender, ranked number 10 in our Elite 11, so I'll be at that game. And Wildwood Catholic will be playing CBA up at Brookdale Community College in a hoop group event, Brookdale Community College in Lincroft up here in Monmouth County. So we'll be following those two games today. Wildwood Catholic, I would best describe them as a work in progress. Obviously, they're kind of disappointed. They had an opportunity to beat Archbishop Wood. They had an opportunity to beat Elizabeth at the Seagull Classic. They came up short in both those games. They haven't really been tested yet by local competition, although Pleasantville was down 1 to them in the third quarter on Wednesday night, and then Wildwood Catholic put that game away with a 22-1 run. But what I've been really impressed by Wildwood Catholic so far is the kid who scored his 1,000th career point last night, Jalea White, slowed by a little bit of a knee injury, in the preseason, but he has looked great and has surprised me with his ability to shoot from the perimeter. It really added that to his game. So that's the deal with Wildwood Catholic so far.
So, and Jalea White, where's he going again?
He's going to Temple. Jalea White,
that's why I asked.
Temple bound. There you go. And Taj Feet, of course, West Virginia bound. So, obviously two great Division I prospects there, and a work in progress. They're not where they were at the end of last season, but I have no doubt that when we get to the end of this season, they will be.
You touched on something there, too, and, of course, I referenced the Boardwalk Basketball Classic that's been going on in Wildwood for so long in the Wildwoods, but the Seagull Classic, that's what, now year 2 of that coming back, and very quick. Is that Johnny Rodeo that put that together? Tom Williams? Who's behind that?
Yeah, that's Johnny Rodeo's event. I think we might even be in year 3, like the years blend together. Could be year 2 or year 3. But yeah, that was a great event this past weekend up at Holy Spirit. A number of great games there. The Elizabeth Wildwood Catholic game was a great game, and then we had the Patrick School versus St. Augustine Prep last Sunday. St. Augustine Prep gave the Patrick School, which is considered the number 1 team in the state of New Jersey, all they could have. The Patrick School is winning that game 45-41 to start the fourth quarter, Pete. And what does the Patrick School do? They do what every reporter's dream on
4 quarters
is. They come out and hold the ball for the first 5 minutes of the fourth quarter. They literally stand at half court with the ball on their hip. The clock is running. I'm happy. The Patrick School's happy. Paul Rodeo's happy. And then in the final 3 minutes, St. Augustine came out of their zone. And if you had told St. Augustine before the game that they would have been down to the Patrick School by 4 with 3 minutes to go and play, they would have signed for it. They came out. St. Augustine had their opportunities, but Patrick School able to hold them off and win that game by 7, 8, or 9 points. So it was a great weekend of basketball at Holy Spirit. Big crowds both on Saturday night for the Elizabeth Wildwood Catholic game and on Sunday, despite that game was played the same time the Eagles were playing. Despite that, there were more people there Sunday than Saturday. So really great job by Johnny Rodeo and his crew at the Seagull Classic.
Yeah, I definitely wanted to give the Seagull Classic some props. I mean, that just evokes good memories for a lot of people. And I got a Facebook message or a text message when I was away asking if I could mention it. And I said, well, I'm kind of in Vegas right now, but I'll text the guys, so to speak. Let me ask you this too. How quick did Paul Rodeo's tie come off? That's always the indicator of when the game, like he may start off with a tie, but pretty quickly when that tie's gone, you can tell he's getting a little hot.
Yeah, I think that was about 2-3 minutes in. Sometimes we'll have the over-under. When will the tie come off, basically? I think in that game, it was 2 to 3 minutes in. And St. Augustine, they're impressive. They have a lot of size with Matt Delaney inside, and they've got a great backcourt with El Marco Jackson and Kevin Foreman, a really great athletic backcourt. So, and they got a couple of big wins, couple of easy Cape Atlantic League wins this week. I believe they beat Bridgeton and Vineland. I'm going to say St. Augustine's about 6-2. And they got some big games upcoming the rest of this month. They've got Holy Spirit, they've got Wildwood Catholic, and they've got Atlantic City at the Battle by the Bay. So, big games upcoming for St. Augustine the rest of this month.
Yeah, as I look up some scores, and you crack me up with your tweet, the West Coast scores are in. The nature of these scores and how late they come in now. I did read my Press of Atlantic City this morning, which I urge everybody to continue to subscribe to. I get mine in my blue bag right on the door. My man Kim Johnson puts it right there for me. So I did read it this morning, but of course there were some scores I was looking for that now I am seeing them on the computer, because that's the nature of the beast. If they come in too late, they have to go there first. And I'm sure tomorrow when I pick up the paper, the actual scores will be in there as well. Any other boys teams before we move on to the girls that I'm not highlighting that I should be?
Well, I think you got the Atlantic City boys. You got to take a look at them, right? Coming off the first losing season in the program's history in 50 years, they got off to a little bit of a slow start. This season they were 1-3 out of the gate, but now they've won 4 in a row. They had an impressive win over Egg Harbor Township earlier this week, followed that up with a win over Millville. Now they're 5-3, and the important note there is that Coach Gene Allen, 2 wins away from passing Bill Swain to become the all-time coaching win leader at Atlantic City High School. So that's the other storyline, we'll kind of be following this week and the next 7 or 8 days.
I did see you slip that in the game story the other night, or in the recap, or you had written about that was coming up, and Atlantic City is definitely, they had a tough year last year and starting to find their way again. Well, it's right in the headline, and Mike Franco and I used to go back and forth about this. In the scoreboards, I would put them as Olma, but he would say it's Our Lady of Mercy Academy. You call them what you want. Villagers, Our Lady of Mercy Academy, Olma, they're still undefeated. 9-0, that is a story.
Absolutely, and I don't care who you're playing. If you're 9-0, you're playing well. Last night, they beat Cedar Creek in overtime. Jaden Harris, 24 points, 18 rebounds.
Yeah.
They've got some talent out there. Not only do they have Jaden, Ava Cassell can play, Sydney Prescott can play. So Olma, they had a pretty good year last year. They were pretty competitive last year. I believe they just missed out on making the Cape Atlantic League tournament, or they might have made it and lost in the quarterfinals. But this year, 9-0. They've got a big game with Wildwood Catholic girls coming up this week. I believe it's on Friday. And you got to give props to Olma, the only undefeated Cape Atlantic League boys or girls team. They're 9-0 with the big win over Cedar Creek last night in overtime.
And, of course, you featured earlier in the week, Wildwood Catholic suffered their first loss at the hands of Middle Township. John Leahy's girls, they're always so well coached. They're always well prepared. And not only that, Middle wins last night, tough road game at ACIT.
Yeah, right now, if you looked at, we want to, you want to pull, everybody loves to project, bracketology, whatever. If you were going to bracketology the Cape Atlantic League tournament on the girls' side, Middle Township would be your number 1 seed. They beat Mainland Regional over Christmas up at the Score to Shore tournament at Southern Regional. They got the win, as you mentioned earlier this week, over Wildwood Catholic. They've got a win over Atlantic City at the Seagull Classic, which was John Leahy's 300th career victory. They go on the road last night and beat a very good ACI team that I'm sure you're familiar with.
I am.
Right now, if you're going to bracketologize if that's even a word, the
Sure.
number 1 seed in the Cape Atlantic League tournament, it would be the Middle Township Panthers.
All right, so there's a couple of the girls' teams, and yes, Kylie Watson. By the way, Mike McGarry, just to loop back on her, I saw her the other night at a local restaurant. She just carries herself, and to me, even when she was a freshman, and carries herself so well, is such a great representation of what a high school athlete should be. And people that don't know, sometimes she'll walk away sometimes, and I tell them, like, that girl could be an Olympian. Like, that girl could end up being somebody.
Yeah, absolutely. Just a fantastic kid, and she's 6'4", 6'5". And so she's always in the public eye. There's no place for her to hide, right? You know, on the court or out in public, you know, people are always looking at her, and she's just always great to talk to. And I say it all the time, you know, the game where she became the leading scorer in mainland history, they lost to Cherokee, who's a South Jersey power that game. And, you know, she does a great job in the post-game interviews after wins and defeats. And I'm around some pro athletes sometimes, and that's not always the case. So I'm always amazed when high school athletes sort of handle, you know, the ups and downs of sports better than pro athletes. And she's in that case this year. And she's got a much more complete game this year. She's able to step out and shoot from the perimeter. I've really been impressed with her passing ability this year. Her ability to find open teammates is really outstanding. So her game has continued to develop. She's not resting on her laurels at all, obviously. And of course, headed off to Oregon next year. And Oregon, one of the nation's top girls basketball, women's basketball college program.
That was exactly what we discussed, how she was going to adjust to life without Wawa, because I knew she had a go-to Wawa order. She said she'll figure it out. There's got to be some convenience store out there. All right, let's end with this, because first of all, you had a great, you do your Friday thing, and you had your My Life. The feature was on Atlantic High's Madison Brestol, which I thought was great because she's an outstanding player, a three-sport athlete. I thought that was good. And then I'd be remiss if I didn't close the interview by asking you about your piece on NJSIAA takes next step toward public school state champions in football. So are we actually going to get this?
Well, we're going to take, you know, it's a slow-moving ship, basically. It's a battleship that's got to be turned around in one direction, and you don't do that in 2 minutes. But we took another step this week. The executive committee approved a measure that would allow all the New Jersey high schools to vote to remove the sentence from the NJSA Constitution that bans public schools from holding state championships. That vote will come in May of this year. If it passes, which I suspect it will, they will develop a plan that will be presented in December, and then the debate will begin. And the earliest that we would have a state champion in football would be 2022. So for 2020 and 2021, we're going to continue with the regional championship games and stop there. But it's looking like we're headed towards possibly maybe having a state championship game in 2022. And the first step or another step in the process will be this vote in May, which the executive committee approved in this past week.
New Jersey, the state where you can't make a left turn, you can't pump your own gas, although I'm okay with that, and the state that doesn't have a true state high school football champion. But maybe that's going to change. He is Mike McGarry, Press of Atlantic City. Follow him on Twitter at AC Press McGarry, and you can hear him each week here on the Pete Thompson Show at 8:20. Thank you, Michael. Good to catch up with you.
All right, Pete, see you down the road. Thanks for having me on.
All right, take care.